Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. So we've had roughly almost 48 hours to digest the spring game, which is just the 15th practice, right? I saw some good. I saw some things that need to be worked on as you're supposed to see in a setting like this. I just want to touch on a couple of things and I'm gonna get out the way, right? So I want to start it off by saying I thought the defense won the scrimmage. I thought the coverage was good. I thought the tackling was exceptional. I didn't see too many, if any, broken tackles. I saw guys running to the football. I saw Shannon Dawson trying to stretch the defense horizontally, and guys just were not having it. The first jet sweep to, push pass to um, Rashad, ate it up. Came back with another one to Ray Ray, ate it up. So I thought the defense looked good. I thought the defensive line handled the offensive line. Now, can't use an excuse of, hey, there weren't, offensive line was missing starters. None of the starters for the defensive line played. Three starters on the offensive line, however, did play, right? So that just goes to show the talent that we got in that defensive line room. I think the linebacker position looked better. I think Francisco Marigold looked good. Obviously made a big play on a blitz within the red zone. Was able to tackle Henry Parrish in the backfield. I thought that was a huge play. Again, coverage was solid. Coverage was good. I didn't see too many coverage busts. I think one of the very last play to Ray Ray Joseph. I think maybe there'd been a coverage bust, or maybe it could have been a cover two look, and maybe the linebacker was not able to get back to the middle of the field. And if that's the case, I mean Ray Ray Joseph can fly. So I don't think it's too many, if any, linebackers on the team, except for maybe Bobby Washington, maybe, and he may even have some trouble, trying to run that deep middle to keep up with a guy with Ray Ray Joseph's speed. But other than that, I just think the defense won today. Again, I spoke about this on a previous video. I felt like the defense is just much more talented than the offense is right now. Not head and shoulders, but I do think that the defense, in terms of looking all ACC caliber, I think the defense is a lot closer than the offense is. And not saying the offense is behind. I think we've done tremendous work at the offensive line. I think obviously the tight end position we've done tremendous. Um, the spring game was the first time that I actually felt like, you know what? No, we don't have that guy on the outside. I love Jacoby George, right? Love X, love Kobe Young, love the entire receiving crew, but it's just a difference when you have that guy out there. Excuse me, Mike Phil. When you have that guy out there, when you have Amon Richards, when you have a Marvin Harrison Jr., when you have Judy, Devontae Smith, C.D. Lamb, Jordan Addison, when you have those type of guys out there. I don't think we have one of those type of guys right now, right? And I don't think those type of guys are in the portal. But I do think we have a nice complementary set of guys. I think if a guy like Jaleel Skinner, which I'm very high on Jaleel Skinner, he had a solid spring game as well. I think if he could be a guy that maybe could potentially flex out and have dual duties in terms of playing the tight end position for matchup purposes and then also splitting out again for matchup purposes, I think we can get by for now. But I do think that it is imperative that we get one of those guys, right? It's imperative that we get one of those guys, right? Um, Quarterback position. The biggest thing that I took away from the quarterback position is that I thought TVD would be much further ahead of Jakari as well as Emory Williams, and not saying that Emory or Jakari are in position to surpass TVD as QB1, but I don't think it is as solidified at QB1 as I think it would be. And again, it may sound like I'm contradicting myself, but I'm saying TVD is QB1, but I don't think the gap between Jakari, and Emory is where you would think it should be when you think about the amount of experience that TVD has versus the amount of experience that Jakari has, and obviously the amount of experience that Emory Williams has, right? But again, like I titled the video, I saw flashes, I saw flaws, right? So I think that is something that we got the summer and fall to potentially work on, but we'll see. Um, Ruben Bang was credited with 3 sacks. I was watching Coach Coop last night, and that's the statistics that they finalized Ruben Bang with, and I think it was more than that. As a matter of fact, I think the entire defense had maybe 10, 11 sacks. But obviously, of course, you can't call everything down. You can't blow every play dead, right? But there are 2 plays that come to my mind that I think about that I say, well, those should have been called dead, right? And the first one was Emory Williams' pass to Isaiah Horton along the left sideline, where it was a free runner. I mean, it was a free runner. I don't know if it was a miscommunication along the offensive line or whether it was a delayed type of situation or whatever the situation was. But in a situation like that, I think Emory Williams would have had 3 options. One of the options would have been if the runner or if the blitzer was a undisciplined blitzer and he was blitzing from the inside and was able to give Emory Williams time to maybe spin around and maybe continue to look down the field, he could have had that. But the other 2 instances I think would have been detrimental to us, which one of them is he could have just tucked down, took the hit, lived to fight another down, or stood in the pocket, took the hit, delivered the ball, probably been a wobbler. Maybe we could have got a pass interference call, or maybe he ends up getting picked off, or whatever the situation was. But that was one play. The other play was not the play where they didn't give Restrepo the catch along the sidelines when he dove and went out of bounds. It was another one before that where I thought the pocket collapsed and I said, well, this is a sack. But they let the play continue to roll and TVD was able to get outside the pocket and deliver a strike to Xavier Restrepo, again with good coverage. And speaking of good coverage, the corners look good, but I'm going to tell you something. Markeith Williams was covering. The couple plays that I just right off of memory of him being in coverage, he covered. I believe he was covering Ray Ray on that out route, and Ray Ray had to get full extension to catch that ball, which that was a good ball in a good position. Emory Williams did deliver that ball. That was a good throw. But I think Markeith Williams was in coverage, and that ball had to be there because if it had been any closer or anything like that, I think Markeith Williams would have been in position to potentially knock the ball down or maybe even intercept the ball, just depending. But that had to be a perfect ball because there was great coverage, and I saw great coverage throughout. Now, again, you may say, well, Shad, you just said we don't have a number one guy. So, of course, the coverage is going to look good. But at the same token, there's not going to be very many teams projected that I think that we play that is going to have one of those guys. I think the vast majority of teams that we're going to play are going to have guys that are I can't even talk. I can't even say that word. Equivalent. How about that? We'll say equivalent. We have more guys that are equivalent to the skill level that our guys have. So I think that coverage can, transition over. And obviously, again, with Coach Guidry having a background in secondary and then obviously Addae being there, I think that does help the back end communication, right? But that's basically what I saw. Run game wasn't there very much, but it's 2 things that I heard Coach Cristobal say, right? And one of them really stuck out to me. Again, like I said, I wasn't at the game. This was just a broadcast. And they asked him about the receivers. And Coach Cristobal said their minds are not cluttered right now. They're playing faster. Their minds are not cluttered. And I thought that was interesting, to say the least, right? Because obviously, we all had the big back and forth, the big debate last year about whether was it Josh Gattis or what, whatever the situation is. But I think Coach Cristobal answered that question, right? And obviously he answered it twice. He answered it first by relieving the guy of his duties, and then he answered it again, doubled down on it, and said basically, look, our guys were thinking too much last year. There's too much going on. Their minds could not work, and obviously whatever was going on off the field. But that was interesting. And then he also spoke about quarterbacks, saying that the guy felt like the guys were holding the ball too much. Again, a flaw that hopefully we can get rectified. Now, I'm going to say these last 2 things. I'm going to get out of here, right? Corey Flagg did not play in the spring game. You may say, well, okay, cool. He didn't play. Okay, whatever. But I was watching Coach Hayes post game, and obviously he was interviewing people that came out the game, asking them what they thought about it, all that stuff like that. And I'm looking at the chat. I'm in the chat. And people in the chat are talking about Corey Flagg. And I'm sitting there thinking, I do not remember seeing Corey Flagg play. But as I look at some of the dialogue, it's like, instead of just complimenting Francisco Marigoa for looking like a stud, we rather talk about Corey Flagg's shortcomings to make it seem as if he and Francisco are not even on the same plane. Now, again, Francisco has things above Corey Flagg. Obviously, has ideal height, has ideal size. We saw the play with Jacoby George. You thought Jacoby George was going up the sideline. Francisco said, no. Come here. Let me holler at you. But I'm sitting up and like, why are we talking about Corey Flagg? Okay, Corey Flagg won't be a starter. But to pretend or to act as if Corey Flagg in a number 2 middle linebacker position or number 2 role along the defense at the middle linebacker position is somewhat of a detriment to the defense is foolish. It's foolish. Point blank, period. Now, obviously, I understand, and I'm guilty of this too, where we pick our favorites. And once we get our favorites, we're going to go to bat for our favorites. And once we find guys that we don't necessarily rock with, we're going to be overly critical of them. And again, I'm guilty of this because I feel like I was one of the ones that was overly critical of Malik Rozier. But the difference is I was overly critical of Rozier for actually playing in a game. Y'all are being critical of Corey Flagg, and Corey Flagg didn't even play. That's what blows my mind. Nextly, Ja'Carri Brown. Ja'Carri Brown didn't have his best outing. Okay, he didn't have his best outing. I felt like in a situation like this, in a scrimmage like this, I don't think it was a way for what he does very well to be on display. I don't think what he did very well is on display. Obviously, we're not having the situations where the quarterback can, run the ball. They're gonna blow the quarterback down. They're not live. Didn't see a lot of RPOs. Didn't really see too many instances in which the guys were looking to check the ball down. And that wasn't just a Ja'Carri situation. That was a TVD. That was a Emory Williams situation, which is why at the conclusion of this, I didn't feel like TVD is as far ahead as a starting quarterback above Ja'Carri and Emory Williams as I would like for him to be. And again, people can have their different understandings of that. But it's just so interesting, man. I remember last year, man, Ja'Carri Brown's going to be the one that lead us to 6. Did you see the command of the offense? I believe it was a Clemson game, or maybe it was a Georgia Tech game. Ja'Carri Brown. Look at the way Ja'Carri Brown is handling the offensive line. Look at him lining people up. Look at him do all this stuff right here, right? And after one spring game, man, he might need to change positions. I think Emory Williams is going to get the number 2 position, the quarterback position, over the summer. He just look at him. He just looks the part. Lead 11. Just look at him. And I said, boy, y'all ain't no good. Y'all ain't no good, man. But what can I expect, man? Do this every time. Do this every freaking time. But it is what it is. I was happy to see the Canes on the field again. And obviously I'm sure there's gonna be a lot more content put out about this spring game. I'm sure there's gonna be more, people doing lives and, sit down, we're gonna talk about this stuff and whatever like this. But that's just my overall mindset of it after just watching the spring game initially. I'll probably watch it a few more times and and come forward with some more, content based around it. But as always, man, like, share, subscribe, and as always, it is always about the you.